Hey there, viewers, and welcome back to the Self-Made Auto Channel. Got us a 2002 Chevrolet. It's the 2500. It's got the big 6.0. It's got the service four-wheel drive light on. And the fella had it at another shop a long ways away. And we're getting the thing scanned here. Just got that hooked up, so we're gonna let her scan. And they put a transfer case motor on it. They told him it needed that, and then they put one on it, and that didn't work, so they put another one on it. And that one didn't work. So then they told him that he needs to have the transfer case split, tore down, whatever that means. And then he says, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right. And then he decided to come here. So we're gonna have a little gander at it to see what's really wrong with it. So we'll let her get done scanning there, put the power supply on so our battery doesn't go dead. She's scanning right now. Let me get you guys in a better position here without some glare. I guess that's good advice for all of you. If you're at a shop and it doesn't, oops, ding dong, if it doesn't sound right, it probably isn't. So now we're gonna let it scan again. He did say on his way here, which was a really, really long drive, that the engine light did come on, but his main concern, he says he wants to get that four-wheel drive fixed because he can't get up his driveway. Okay, this time we're gonna hit report, not fault scan. Survey says, let's see, so these are his engine light codes, currents, link 2, sensor 2, PO300, and some knock sensor stuff on a GM, imagine that. This is what we're after though. We want to look at the C0323. He did tell me he yanked the fuse on the ABS, and that was the other thing the other shop told him, is that his four-wheel drive will not work on this truck without a new ABS motor. So he knew that was kind of fishy because apparently this fuse has been out for years and the four-wheel drive's been working just fine, which is true. In this case, the ABS doesn't really have anything to do with the four-wheel drive on this particular truck. So we're going to look at the C0323 transfer case lock circuit low. So that's interesting. So these transfer case motors have a lock circuit in it that prevent the motor from actually turning. I believe they have power supplied to them and they're probably ground side switched. Do we have a lock? Yeah, so we have a transfer case lock actuator control here, transfer case lock control. Currently, see, the front axle is engaged. That's interesting. Transfer case lock is enabled. Sometimes you can hear them, sometimes you can't. So that's interesting. So what it does is it will actually physically lock the motor from turning, you know, that way you don't get unwanted shifts. So what we're going to have to do, encoder gear position, it says 4 high, which is interesting because I see the four-wheel drive light was on when I pulled it in, but it was indeed in two-wheel drive. I was doing some burnouts there in the parking lot to be sure. Yeah, four-wheel drive high indicator on. Encoder gears in 4 high, that's interesting. We're going to kind of disregard some of that. It does have an aftermarket motor on it now, which kind of stinks, but let's see if we can't figure out what is going on with the lock circuit itself. We know we have the ability to control it, but let's find out. Let's find out what we can find out. I'll get some wire diagrams up here for us and see where the power and all that business comes from. Transmission, transfer case 2-speed manual. We got a selectable one. Transfer case selectable. Okay, so here we go. Let's find the lock circuit control. I might have to pause the camera here and do some poking to see where that is. Ignition run, 4-wheel lock, black with white. Is that the one we're looking for? No, that's for the front axle actuator. Shift motor. Let me find this for us, folks. Okay, learning lesson number 2 or 3 for us. Always lessons to be learned. Why we have multiple sources of service data is because Mitchell, remember rule number 1, never trust your service data and never trust your wiring diagrams. So multiple transfer case options in these things besides just being selectable or manual. Ours is this code NP8, that's our RPO code, NP8. I think they make an NP1 also, which for whatever reason was the only one that Mitchell showed, which doesn't have this brake control circuit in it. So this is the circuit we're after. Gets its power up here from the ATC fuse. 20 amp comes down, orange wire, down to a connector near the transfer case. And then it is controlled by the lock solenoid control of the transfer case control module, and indeed it is ground side switched through this tan wire. So that's the circuit that we're looking for. So what we need to do first and foremost is we're going to check to make sure we have power. We're going to make sure that we have power. Oops, where'd you go? Holy cow. We're going to make sure that we have power at this fuse, and then we're going to make sure if we do, then we're just going to have to go underneath the truck. We'll find where these two wires come in, orange wire to tan wire. We'll see if we have power there. If we have power, then we'll use our scan tool, which we never trust. And then we're going to command it on and see if we have a ground. And if we do, then I don't know what we're going to do. I suspect one of those two are missing based on the circuit description under the code set criteria. The customer did state that he watched an SMA video and he saw that these were prone to having some mice nest under it. And he picked it up and he said indeed there was a big old honking mice nest under there, mouse nest, and had a broken wire, or a wire that was chewed up, but he said he doesn't remember what color it was, but it wasn't chewed all the way through, but he did make me aware of that. So we need to find ATC right there. Let's see here, fella. Do I got this going the right way? I do have it going the right way. Why does I said, oh, wait a minute, something ain't right here. Oh, I see, this relay's, oh, somebody's got a brand new fuse in there. Power there, power there. All right, before we get burned on this one, let's pull that out, make sure we got both legs on it. And then also make sure that because somebody's put a fuse in it, make sure that those pins don't look spread. I got slid on that the other day, boy. Yep, so that's powering the front axle actuator. I can hear stuff going on under there. So that's good. We know what we know here, and that's all we can check up top. There's nothing more to see here, folks. Time to go down. Let's hook up a power probe before we do in case we need a power in the ground while we're down there. Trying to find some optimal angles for you folks under here. So this is the transfer case motor, and you can clearly see it is not brand new. So once I got up in here and I seen that this thing was used, I went in and asked the customer. He did state that the shop told him that they sent 2 new ones back and put the old one back in, even though it was busted, they said. So long story short, here we are, and now I got the whole story. However, whether or not this transfer case shift motor works or not, we still need to diagnose this code, which apparently has been plaguing it. Old motor or new motor, doesn't seem to matter. So we need to get to connector C1, which I think is the same, because there's 2 pluggers here. Yep, so it's gonna be this plug up here. It's gonna be the one that the motor circuit runs on too, or the bigger power wires. And we need to unplug this guy. I might have to move you folks out of the way. Let's see here. Mother lover, let me move you out of the way, baby. Let's see why I can't get this one undone. Shouldn't be a problem. It looks like the little tab is coming up there. Put that in. Oh, yeah, baby. Okay, so pack drain full of dielectric grease. Classic. I don't know what I'm doing. Shot move. Pins look okay. And we're going to be looking at the orange and tan circuit here on here. So C and D, just like it states right there. So there should be some sort of resistance value. I'm sure it's in service data, but it is a solenoid. So let's just see what it is here. We should be able to use our power probe. I think it's feed test, yeah, as long as it's, I think this only goes up to 10,000 ohms, but we should be in the lower numbers. maybe in the 30s or so. So I'll clip that on one pin, clip that on the other. Oops. Get it there so I don't touch it with my fingers and screw up the value. So there's that side of it, and I'll get this side and I'll tell you what the value is. On the right two here. Let me try this one more time because it can't be over 10,000. It's kind of looking like it was blinking that way. Let me make sure that the power probe is working here. Yep, 0.0 there. This one says, come on, you ding dong. Resistance. Is this thing open? Am I being serious right now? Because it's not reading any resistive value across it. That's kind of curious. Maybe when they put the new motor on, they had a different problem, but let's see here. Yeah, it's reading over 10,000 ohms because it's not reading anything. That's concerning. We can look in service data to see what that value is supposed to be. I'm going to switch back to a different mode here, and we're going to see if we have power on what should be the orange wire. So it should be the top left in this connector up here. We should hear a tone, and then the other wire. That's interesting. They both have what appears to be power. Let me get a test light because we never trust. Nope, I tested the wrong wire. So the top right here should have power on it. And this bottom one should be the ground side switch. Okay, there we go. Okay, perfect. Let me get the scan tool here and I'll show you where we're at. So I got the scan tool. I think I've got the plug configuration. I had it figured out wrong there at first. Kind of a pain in the ding dong to get up here. So yeah, so the one on the top right, that's our orange wire. If you remember on the wiring diagram, that had full-time power. This one runs off the fuse. And this one down here is our ground side switch. I got the scan tool here and I'm going to turn it on. Right now it says it's enabled and nothing here has changed. I'm going to turn it back off. Now it says it's disabled and nothing has changed. So it appears that we have our power, but we are missing our ground side switch from the transfer case control module. I turn it on, turn it off, nothing changes, okay? So what we need to do now, I see, looking at the I don't know what you guys can see here, but on the diagram down here, there is another connector. This connector is C151. That's the connector we need to get to. I don't know where it's at, but that's what we're gonna find. And then, I mean, as long as that's feasible to get to, not really gonna worry about the resistive value that we're reading currently. Everything's kind of snug on this Chevy. I just want to do kind of a visual inspection also, see where these wires run. I'll probably do that off camera because it's a little tricky, just to see if there's something blatantly obvious. You know, rub through the wire that's going to be the offender is going to be tan, right? Yep, it appears to be tan, so we'll find out where this connector is. I'll give this a visual inspection where this runs up and around and see if we see anything here, folks. I wish I could get you in a better viewing angle, but she's tight. I mean, real tight. So I want to make sure everybody's on the same page. So we have a code for this circuit. All right, transfer case shift motor or transfer case control module is not seeing power right here at this point. And technically it should, because we have power from the fuse. It comes down, goes down the orange wire, which we know is good because we checked it right here. We had power here, you know, we had power up here. And then typically the power will go through the solenoid and then back out on this wire until it's commanded on. And evidently the, you know, control module is not seeing power there. Plus we noticed when we turned the transfer case, you know, lock on, we did not have the ground side switch to here. So I did mention that we have this other connector, the C151. We're gonna find out where that is. I did do a visual inspection where that harness runs alongside the frame. Didn't see anything obvious. So we have a couple options. We can find C151. Before we go to do that, one thing that we could do is we could plug this back in down here. That way we make sure we have power in and power coming out. And then we could see when we get to C151, do we have our 12 volts here? If we do, then great. Then we narrowed it down to this short section of harness here. So at this point, we either have we have a faulty control module. This could be bad, or we have a broken wire. Those are our two options, and that's exactly what has to be wrong with it. So just looking for curiosity, I did find in service data under how to fix this code, the resistance value of the encoder motor lock circuit is 18 to 25. So we were right. It was about I guess about 30, but 18 to 25. So that's pretty interesting. We do have a broken encoder motor. So the encoder motor itself, or the lock solenoid inside the motor, is no good, but I think we still have two problems. We're about to ready to learn another valuable lesson. We're gonna back out of here. She let me down. What I wanted to do for the sake and purpose of testing is I wanted to substitute a value across as a light. So we have power on our top pin, which that's our orange wire up here. I can't see because the camera's in the way. I was just in the hole. There we go. And then our bottom pin where the black wire is the control side. However, it lights a light, a 2-amp light, nice and bright. So that is very concerning for a couple reasons. I thought I understood the functionality of the power probe and its beeper and the amount of resistance that it takes to turn the green light on. Gonna have to revisit that, so we're gonna quit using that for the time being. But this has changed our diagnosis here a little bit, because that circuit is carrying current enough to light a couple amps here, 2.5 amps of that light bulb. Real interesting, folks. As most of you know, I am not a huge power probe fan. To a certain degree, I thought I understood that one quite well. This is a little bit embarrassing, but this is why we always use incandescent bulbs instead of meters and such. Let's still go at where we're going. I did print us out a diagram for the C151, and it's supposed to be up by the fuse box somewhere. So let's go find that and unplug it. I think it's under this cover. I thought with the power probe on the 4 anyways, whatever one we're using, I thought when I read it, the total circuit resistive value was under 10 ohms. It would not only display the reading of 0 volts, but it would also illuminate the green light and sound the beeper, but only in those situations. So, for example, if you're using, a meter and especially like a power probe, if your tire's wet, you touch it on it, it's high impedance to a certain degree. It's not as high impedance as a regular meter, but it would show 0 volts, essentially a ground. But we know that can't carry current. So I thought they had changed some features on it. What I'm going to have to check. I thought I even tested that in a video, perhaps, to make sure that we could trust it to a certain degree. But all right, so we lifted that baby up. It's got some of your lovely New York salt there. And this is supposed to be a big old honky connector, which I think is this one right here. So let's see. Get you guys around where everybody can see and everybody's happy. 12-way black. How many we got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 2 is 12. And what we're looking for, actuator lock control. It's going to be in terminal C. That's axle lock control. That's not the one we want. Lock solenoid controls in pin E. A, B, C, D, E. It's going to be near the end. It's going to be tan. So there's a tan one right there, which is next to a gray one. And tan is next to gray with black. And then it's also next to this one here, which is F, which is black. So this should be the circuit right here, this tan one. Yab-dab-do. So what we need to do is just unplug it and see if our light goes out. If our light goes out, then we know the short is not in the lower side of the harness. So that is currently unplugged. Let me look underneath it, see if the light's still on. And yes, sir, the light is OUT out. So if we plug this back in, our light will come back on. If I can figure out how to plug a connector in. That's back in. Let's make sure our light is on, and it is. It's nice and bright. Very, very interesting. Okay. So at this point, we need to go inside and get to the transfer case control module and see what the dealio is there. Why is it keeping this circuit engaged? Do we just have a bad transfer case control module? We're inside the vehicle. I believe these little guys hide behind the headlight switches. We're going to take this thing out, set that to the side, and then we're going to figure out how the old headlight switch comes out, which I thought these just popped out on these Chevys. Might have to go get us a light. Okay, so here we are. So this whole little, didn't have to pull the cluster. I was hoping we could get a little better access to it, but it's been a long time since I won these old Chevys apart. Anyhow, the whole headlight assembly, switch assembly here, comes out very gingerly. So there's multiple clips, you know, all over this thing. So you have to be, you know, just be careful. Use your mind, not your muscle. Here is the connector we're after. So we're going to see if we can't. What in the thunder? I was just wiggling on that and it freaking flicked the headlights on. So that's kind of curious. That was just literally just... Oh, you know what? I bet I was hitting the high beam switch. Never mind. Like, what the hell is going on here, boys? Let me, I don't know if I gotta get a little screwdriver to hit that release tab, and we'll unplug that because that is not our circuit. That is the powers and grounds going in. We need to unplug this one. My bad. And then see if our light goes out. If our light goes out, then, well, we know that it's in the module. And indeed, our light did go out. And I plug it in, the light comes back on. So that tells me we do not have a short in the wiring because we still have a power supply there. Therefore, if the wire was shorted, rubbed through, touching something metal, you know, it would still be lit up. So I'm going to go read a little service data. I want to make sure I'm not overlooking something, but this leads me to believe that we likely have a bad transfer case control module. So I went and read through service data through the, you know, the C0323 code, and essentially it's, you know, everything that we did. I don't roll this up. I didn't realize it's music playing. Don't want to get in trouble on the YouTube. So I went down through it, and it's the same exact thing. You know, the flow chart is exactly what we did. They go through, they check for power, they check for resistance of the lock solenoid, which we know is no good. We know our transfer case motor is junk. And then at that point, it has you do some voltage checks, you know, basically like how I said, you know, power in, power out. Are we receiving voltage back at the module? In which case we are not, because we're receiving a ground, which sets this code for signal low. And we know that the wire is not shorted because when we unplug it, maintaining power at the transfer case, when we unplug it, the light goes out. So our ground is in here. It's in the magic little box. I say we take a trip to Wilbur Chipotle Bath, who doesn't sponsor us, see if we can find one of these with the same RPO code, this NP8, which is what's in this truck. I double checked that, ran the VIN. I'm going to look in the glove box to be sure. And then, yes, it does have the auto 4 drive, so it has to be. So let's see if we can get one of these. And like I said, I've got a transfer case shift motor on the way already. Don't be smoking out here. We got our list. Let's go see what we can find. Alright, so I found us an 02. She is the 4-button jobby. So hopefully she's right. We'll get this little guy unplugged. there. Well, you guys will be able to see down there, hopefully a little bit. Get out real quick here. Busy place today. People everywhere. We don't have to be as gentile on this one. They got a ton of these trucks here. I'm busier than a mother lover at the shop today. Oh boy, somebody's already been back here. We got lots of wires chopped. We'll get this set it to the side here. She's got the Crime Stopper, Easy Start Crime Stopper, pre-installed, not factory. We'll get a little, move that out of the way a little bit there. Hopefully this is the ticket. Supposedly it fits 01 to 02. So we'll wiggle that a little bit. They're kind of a piss pot to get out of here. There's that. Oops. Come on. All right. 157-49703. Let's get out our cell phone, because I did take a picture of it. Here's a picture of ours. I don't know if you guys can see it now because it does a flippy thing. 157-49703. Sweet, same number. Matching numbers. We can still take it to the car show. We are back at SMA. I guess I can't turn the parking lights off, can I? I don't have the switch back in there. Click the parking brake down, shut it off. Back on, headlights are off. The orange light underneath is off, obviously. Let's plug this in. See if it kicks back on. I'm a little snow blind, so I can't really see underneath the vehicle right now. Oh, can you guys even see? I don't see the orange light flashing under there. However, let's provide the module with the power and the ground. Okay, I don't think I see the orange light on, but let's go have a look before we stick that back in there. Oops, just had to grab the scan tool. Okay, I don't see an orange light glowing. Let's turn this on. Enabled. Oh, there we go. There's the orange light. So off, on, off, on. Hallelujah. Good thing my little voice in my head is wrong. Okay, so we have two problems, folks. We have a bad transfer case control module. And we also have a bad motor. Let's go get the new motor. Okay, we got the new motor. So let's go over here, get out our trusty power probe. Now that we don't trust it anymore. Okay, yeah, so here's our new motor sitting here. And we're gonna check the brown and the orange wires. So this is gonna be our full-time power. And then our control, which is this one here, and we want to see how many ohmage it has. I told you I was guessing in the 30s, but 16.5 this one has. Our other one was infinite, or at least more than 10,000, because the power probe only goes to 10,000 ohms. I'm a little disappointed in this. I have preached to you guys, preach it, boy. If you don't know how your test equipment works, don't use it. And she got it. But you have to follow the facts. And the fact was, just, you know, we have to believe what we test and trust our equipment and trust what we know, how we know the circuit to work, or how it should work in theory. Like I say, I did probably sound a little doubtful to you guys because I wish there was a couple more things that I've checked prior to pulling the trigger on this. And sometimes some of the strategy that will mess you up is usually on newer stuff. Usually this older stuff doesn't have a default strategy or anything funky like that, but sometimes it does. I guess you just always kind of keep that in the back of your mind, that service data, like I say, doesn't always portray all the correct information or all the exact scenarios, because they're just written by engineers that don't think outside the box sometimes of how things can break. Or is what I would assume. I don't know. You see it more often than not. And it gets real frustrating because you're like, you know, why in the heck wasn't that in service data? Or why didn't they mention that this could be a potential problem? Or this is how it works. You know, stuff like that, because that gets frustrating. What I want to do, however, prior to putting all of this stuff back in, we're going to swap that motor, and we're going to make sure everything here functions as it should before we stick all this plastic on, simply because this plastic only has about one life cycle before it gives up the ghost on you and, you know, things start breaking. Right now nothing's broke, and that's that. So let's get under there. I'm going to eat lunch first, and then we'll come out and get after the shift motor there. Alright, so lunch is over. I took in talking to a fellow there. I popped the front drive shaft out, so in case you're wondering what's going on there, we can get in here a little bit easier. And then I also unplugged the motor, the 6-pin connector up there on the motor. So this one here, that one's unplugged. I know you guys aren't in the optimal viewing zone, but it's the best we can do for right now. We'll probably have to shift the transfer case back to 2-wheel peel. I think it's in 4-wheel drive. At least the front axle's engaged anyways. I'm not 100% sure what's happening here. But we'll get this thing out of the way. I guess we could see. Yeah, it is in 4-wheel drive, because right now I have the truck in neutral and the front output shaft is moving. It's interesting, I swear when I pulled it in, it was in 2-wheel drive. So the sucky part is this gasket. Oh, you can't see it. The gasket's kind of busted, but nobody had a stinking gasket for this in stock. So we are going to have to reuse that, which isn't a huge ordeal. And let's get the new one. Now, let's see here. What position is this one? So this one is clocked a little bit differently than this one is. Correct, right? That one's right there, and it needs to be right there. So I'm going to reach up there with a pair of pliers, and we're going to shift it manually to get it to where we need it. Whatever way I'll turn it will be the wrong way, and then we'll turn it back the right way. Hopefully that gives you a little better feel. So they're pretty easy to move. You can just reach up with a pair of whatever these things are called, crescent wrenches, a pair of crescent wrenches, and then you can move the transfer case shift fork manually, just like you could in the old-fashioned days when they had levers sticking through the floor. Now I think that I have it oriented correctly. I could be wrong, but we'll try to fish this baby up in there with the gasket on it and see if I'm right. May be wrong, but you may be right. Man, let me tell you what I ended up doing. I just could not get the shaft lined up perfect, so I ended up taking the scan tool and actuating, fortunately with bidirectional controls, turning the lock circuit off and then using it to control the motor back and forth. I've got it kind of in between gears right now, so to speak. The motor moves extremely fast, so like when you hit the button on the scan tool, you could hear the motor, it'd move, and it would only take about a half a second. So I had to keep my hand right up here on the plug, because I only wanted it to move to clock it back just a little tiny bit. And so I would keep my hand up here on this plug, and the second, I'd hit the button on the scan tool, then I'd pop the plug out just a little bit, just to make it quit moving. So that's a pain right in the butt, but let's see here. So I want to get it started here a little bit, then I'm going to take and, because I know it started on the shaft, then we'll take and run it one extreme to the next here. Let's see, so the scan tool, we're in 2-wheel drive, so technically, so yep, our front axle is disengaged, we can spin that. I don't have the drive shaft back in it yet, folks. Yeah, get this down here where we can all see. Lighting sucks in this place. So yeah, so we are in 2-wheel drive, front wheels aren't moving, pinion's free. We should be able to go to 4 high. Let's move our drive shaft so it makes the shift. Okay, the shift is complete. 4 high, indicators 4 high. Now this should be locked up. Yeah, so that's locked up now. Front wheels turn. All right. I don't know if it'll do 4 low without our foot on the brake. Yep, there we go. I just had to turn the drive shaft. And now she's in 4 low. Front axle should still be locked. And it is. Okay. I'll go back to 2-wheel drive. I gotta turn that. There she goes. She just made the shift back to 2-wheel. And now the front axle's unlocked. Okay, we're good. We did it right. And there we are, folks. So there's the encoder bar. What a pain in the hoo-hoo to stick that thing up in there. And like I said, it kind of sucks we couldn't get the gasket that goes behind it. However, the O-rings that seal the shaft on it were still in good shape, so I'm not super concerned. But there it is, yeah, a pain in the neck. Probably been a little easier if we took drive shaft all the way out. But I think we're in the home stretch now there, baby. Oh, we got no 2-wheel drive indicator, must be. That must be the indicator light is out. Yeah, because that works. That works. Clearly it makes the shift, which we saw underneath, but dang it, we should have grabbed a stinking button while we were there. It's funny, you know, because that actually crossed my mind. Here, we got to hook up all snuffy here. That's this little tube here for the side vent. Let's hook that back on there. It crossed my mind. I was like, you know, these buttons are pretty failure prone. It probably cost $3 at the junkyard. I should have just grabbed it, but I'm like, whatever. You know, we didn't, our diagnosis did not lead us to the button. I probably could just go ask the customer. We got a waiter. He's a waiter today. So he's been waiting a little while. Wrong ones here, dude. Probably could go ask him if his 2-wheel drive button has been out for a while. Sometimes people don't even know, you know, because they just don't notice. You know, you just reach up and whack the button, and away you go. There's that. And then these are for the headlight, must be. Let me squeeze out here. Tell you what, before we give it the final push, and click it in there. Still got codes and everything, of course, except powertrain because we had to clear them out. But I did save his engine light code, so we'll trace that down. Let's see, active test. I believe there is an indicator light test. There is. Okay, so let's just check real quick here, just to be certain. All right, neutral indicator is on, so that's the red dot right there. We know all the other indicators work. We're going to go 2-wheel high indicator. On. It is not on, otherwise it'd be like right there. So that tells us that it either has burned out while it's been in our care and control. 2-wheel drive high indicator on. Off. Escape. Live data. Transfer case live. Let's see if it's supposed to be on. See if it's commanding it. I assume it is. 2-wheel drive high indicator light on. So right there you can see it is supposed to be on. And then when we go to 4-wheel drive, can I reach the button? I don't know what I'm proving at this point. We know it all works. Am I right? Okay, so it says it's in 2-wheel. We put it in 4-wheel. 2-wheel drive indicator light off. 4 indicator light on. And then back to 2-wheel. Yep, we should have grabbed him a stinking button, because that's all what's wrong with it now. Ay. Alright, we've got permission to click her back in here, folks. I did talk to the fella who owns it, and he did say that that's been kind of intermittent. He thought it was all part of the whole voodoo GM, you know, getting crazy on him type thing. Thought it was all related because some days that sucker was on and some days it was off. So sure that bottom one's clicked in all the way here. He just saw it was all part of the same thing, but clearly it's not. But he said not to worry, because way back in the day, he had another four-wheel drive problem, thought it was in the switch, and actually has a brand new switch for it at home. So he'll pop that apart at some point there and put his switch in. So that worked out good. So he thought he had it in his truck. He came out here and looked around a while for me. Didn't find it, so it must be at home. Ooh, yeah, Chevy Thunder! Okie dokie. No more service four-wheel drive light on. Toot toot. Don't want to run anybody over. Snow's melting, so that's good. We will go down to the Self-Made Auto Snow Test Facility, aka the Heath Park. Ooh, we got some virgin snow over here. Hey, look at that little bump in the little two-wheel drive light just came back on. Fancy. So technically, rule number one in a Chevy: never roll the window down. We should be in two-wheel drive. Okay, we are. We'll click the 4-high button. Front axle should engage. Oh, she's hooking now, boys. She's hooking now. Back into neutral. We got the 4 low. No way to prove that to you other than give her some neck jerks. There we go. She's in 4 low, baby. Come on, make the shift, honey. Look at that. We even fixed this two-wheel drive light. All right, good deal. Now we will leave our test facility. That's snow. The town scoops up the snow banks and moves them all here, so they should be here till about June-ish. There you have it, folks, and there you have that. That is your effort, fulcrum, and load, all in one little box. By that I mean it replaced the simple mechanical lever that used to stick through our floor, where we applied our own effort, and that's that. So I don't know what's wrong with it. I don't know if these relays are what controlled that, or if it was these transistors here or here. Hard to say. Despite the large size of my nose, I still can't smell after having the Rona. Mrs. O says this thing stinks. Smells like burnt toast and electrical stuff. I don't know. This one up here has some funky color to it. But who knows? I don't know. I'm not an electrical wizard guy with that kind of stuff. That's more Big Clive type things. And then, of course, the transfer case shift motor, which we tested that out, proved it was bad. I could see where a guy could get slid on this if you were just, you know, pulling codes and winging parts, or pulling codes and even, let's say you had a meter and you checked the resistance, seeing like, hey, this lock circuit's open. You know, we checked it. It was over 10,000 ohms. Put a motor in it. Still doesn't work. Same code. I don't know what's wrong. Stick another motor in it. Don't know what's wrong. Let's tear the transfer case apart. I don't know how you arrive at that conclusion, but somehow it did. And fortunately for this fella, he brought it here and we were able to figure it out. But unfortunately for us, we had a great place like Wilbert's. You pulled a bath. Not a sponsor. Always fun going to the junkyard. More fun in the summertime and less fun when it's cold out. But March is on its way, folks. And I want you to march on your way down into that comment section. Way down there, the questions, the comments, the concerns, the Insta, the Facebook. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.